Good day, everyone. I am Sariel Arzano, and welcome to this presentation on assessing meaning and testing aptitude for second language learning. Today, we will talk about how meaning is shared through propositional, functional, and implied meanings. These parts are important when we look at how well someone communicates in a second language. Non-native speakers use their second language in different settings, such as social, academic, and work-related situations. Assessing meaning is an important part of checking second language skills. Propositional meaning shows facts like ideas, events, or beliefs. It can be checked for truth and reflects what a learner knows about a topic. It is the factual part of a message like ideas or events. This type of meaning is the same no matter the situation. We can check if it's correct without needing to know the full context. It is important for assessing how well learners understand and share information. Functional meaning reflects a speaker's intention, such as persuading or requesting. It depends on context and is key to effective communication. Functional meaning is about why someone is speaking, like to ask for something, persuade someone, or explain an idea. This meaning depends on the situation and is important for understanding how well a speaker uses language to get their point across. Implied pragmatic meanings come from context and shared cultural knowledge. They help convey beyond what is directly said. Implied meanings are not said clearly, but we understand them because of the situation or what we know from culture. These meanings help us share ideas more and understand what is being communicated indirectly. Language conveys propositional, functional, and implied meanings. These layers can make communication richer, but they can also cause misunderstandings. Language is not just about facts, it includes the speaker's intentions and hidden meanings too. All of these layers work together to make communication richer, but they can also cause confusion, especially for learners of a second language. L2 learners face challenges in learning words, grammar, and how to use language in different situations. Understanding hidden meanings and culture is also important. Learning a second language is more than just learning words and rules. Learners also have to understand how to use language in different situations and pick up on meanings that are not said directly. This can be hard, but it's an important part of getting better at communication. Effective second language communication needs propositional, functional, and implied meanings. A complete assessment is important for checking language skills. To communicate well in a second language, learners need to understand the facts, their intentions, and the meanings that are hidden or implied. A full check of these parts helps us see how well someone can communicate in real life. And now, let's talk about how communication works and how can it be measured. Canale and Swain's model from 1980 helps us understand that communication isn't about grammar. It's also about how we use language appropriately in different social situations and how we interpret and express meaning. Canale and Swain's model focus on how people communicate beyond just grammar. It also explained that communication includes understanding and context. Let's proceed to the key concepts in Canale and Swain's model. Propositional meaning, the literal meaning of words and sentences. Social linguistic competence, understanding and using language in the right social context. Discourse rules, making sure speech flows logically and cohesively. Bachman and Palmer's expanded model. Later, Bachman and Palmer built on this by expanding the idea of communicative competence. This includes topical knowledge, affective schemata, and strategic competence. Topical knowledge, which is the information we need about the world to communicate effectively. They also talked about affective schemata, our emotional response, and strategic competence, how we use language to achieve goals. Key components of Bachman and Palmer's model: language knowledge, grammar, vocabulary, and text structure. Pragmatic knowledge, using language correctly in different contexts. Functional knowledge, using language for specific goals, like informing and requesting. Social linguistic knowledge, understanding how to use language in different social settings. And lastly, topical knowledge, knowledge of the world or subject matter being discussed. Bachman and Palmer divided language knowledge into two main parts: organizational knowledge, talks about grammar and vocabulary, and pragmatic knowledge, which talks about using language appropriately in different situations. Within pragmatic knowledge, they included functional knowledge, or how we use language to do things like make requests or give information, and social linguistic knowledge, or how we use language in a way that fits social norms. They also emphasize the role of topical knowledge, which is the information we need to talk about specific topics. Now, we have three ways to assess language and topical knowledge. 1. Separate language and topical knowledge. 2. Combine them into one. 3. Treat them as separate but related parts. To elaborate or for you to understand, when it comes to testing language skills, Bachman and Palmer proposed three ways to approach the relationship between language ability and topical knowledge. First, you could test language ability on its own. Second, you could combine both language and topical knowledge in one test. Third, or you could treat them separately, as language and knowledge affect communication in different ways. Now let's proceed to communicative competence and effective communication. Communicative competence talks about more than just grammar, while effective communication talks about language, social context, and world knowledge all matter. Communicative competence goes beyond just knowing grammar. It's about using language in the right way for the right context and understanding the world around us. The models we discussed today show that effective communication involves more than just form. It's about meaning, context, and how we use language to achieve our goals. In second language acquisition and assessment, meaning is understood in various ways depending on different factors such as the context, social rules, emotions, and interactions. Let's break down the key types of meaning and their significance in learning second language assessment. First, we have the situational meaning. It depends on the context or environment where communication happens. For example, the meaning of a word or phrase might change depending on whether you are in a formal meeting, an informal chat with friends, or in a professional setting. Understanding situational meaning is important because it helps assess whether the learner can adapt their language use to different scenarios. Social linguistic meaning. It refers to how language choices reflect social rules and expectations. It is about understanding how language is used in relation to social norms, such as addressing a superior with formal language or using casual language with close friends. This type of meaning is crucial for understanding how learners navigate social dynamics in language use. Psychological meaning. It is related to emotions, feelings, or moods expressed through language. For example, a learner's ability to use tone, body language, or word choices to convey excitement, frustration, or calmness reflects their emotional understanding in communication. In language assessment, this aspect is critical for whether a learner can express emotional nuances effectively. Now let's have literary meaning. Literary meaning often appears in creative or exaggerated uses of language in literature. This is when language is used in more artistic, metaphorical, or symbolic ways. For language learners, being able to understand and interpret literary language can be a challenging but important skill, particularly when it comes to reading comprehension and interpreting creative texts. Lastly, rhetorical meaning. Rhetorical meaning is connected to the power of persuasion and influence in language. For example, language can be used strategically to convince, motivate, or inspire others. Understanding rhetorical meaning in language learning helps learners recognize and use persuasive techniques in writing and speaking. Now, let's proceed to socio-cognitive versus socio-interactional approaches. Socio-cognitive meaning involves how an individual understands meaning based on their own cognitive processes and knowledge. It's the personal, internal way of processing language. A learner's cognitive abilities, such as memory and reasoning, play a big role in how they understand and retain new vocabulary, grammar, and language rules. Finally, socio-interactional meaning looks on how meaning is created through interaction with others. It highlights the social context of language, where meaning isn't fixed but involves during conversations. Social norms, expectations, and the roles of the people involved play a huge role in shaping the communication. Language learners must navigate these dynamics to successfully communicate with others. Now let's proceed to our second main topic, testing aptitude for second language learning. Language aptitude tests assess how well someone can learn a second language. They measure skills like memory, learning ability, and understanding language patterns. Tests like MLAT, HiLab, CANALF, and LLAMA are commonly used to evaluate language learning potential. Language aptitude tests help us understand how likely someone is to succeed in learning a new language. The findings from the High Lab showed that people who scored higher in areas like memory and learning ability also tended to be more proficient in languages. However, it wasn't compared to other tests like MLAT, so we can't say if it's a better predictor of success. Other tests like the PLAB, CANALF, and LLAMA are also used to assess language learning potential. The LLAMA is gaining popularity because it's free and accessible, but it's not standardized. Recent research shows that individual differences in aptitude, such as analytical thinking and memory, affect how well people learn languages. Tests like the MLAT can predict success in language learning, especially when the learning method is rule-based. Now let's proceed to the critical period hypothesis. The critical period hypothesis suggests that language learning becomes harder after childhood due to reduced brain plasticity. However, some studies show that adults with high language aptitude can still achieve high proficiency in a second language, even if they start later. This suggests that while age can affect language learning, cognitive abilities like memory and analytical skills, as well as exposure and practice, can allow adults to reach near native proficiency. Thus, age may not be the only factor in determining second language success. Research has found that aptitude influences how well learners respond to different types of feedback during language learning. Analytical ability, which involves problem solving and pattern recognition, helps learners make the most of implicit feedback, such as corrections or recasts. These learners are better at internalizing language patterns without direct explanation. On the other hand, learners with strong working memory, the ability to hold and process information, tend to benefit more from explicit feedback, where rules or corrections are directly explained. This distinction shows that learners' cognitive strengths shape how they process and utilize feedback to improve their language skills. And that's all for my topics. Thank you for listening.